Hi, everybody. It's Rose Ferrachi, and I'm here with Christopher Smith, and we have a great discussion for you today. We hope that you enjoy this. We are going to be speak out of nothing but purest of love and in the moment. This is what it's all about, is being right now, being present. And so today we will talk about other things, but we are going to start and talk about the divine masculine energy and the integration of it. And we're going to probably go all over the board and talk about the divine masculine on different levels, in different situations or what have you. So I would like Chris to say hello, and let's give a bit about what you do, Chris, and I'll let you just start rolling here. And thank you for joining me today.
Oh, no, it's my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me. Hello, everybody. So, the things that I generally do, I've got a channel, Silent Truth, on YouTube, and I host retreats and events. And the idea behind what I'm doing is to essentially get to that core nature, that true natural divine nature that is in all of us, and which is actually beyond any kind of gender. But yet at the same time, it encompasses all of the different genders. It encompasses the different qualities of energy. And it is that essence of us that is beyond the physical, beyond the body and mind. It's that non-physical essence. And so really what I'm doing is to get people to that essence, to discover who they are. I've termed this inner awakening. And the inner awakening is like a glimpse of that true nature that we are. And the more that we become familiar with that and we ground ourselves in that, the more it opens up into what could be called self-realization. And also it can move us into a liberation of the mind, because, when we are believing that all we are is a limited identity as a body and a mind, and that we don't have this, that we are not really this vaster, more expansive self, we can end up having a lot of suffering, a lot of turmoil in our life, can create a lot of conflict within us and outside of us with other people and such. And only by discovering our true nature can we step out of this limited identity and go into this greater sense of self that is more connected with everything. So that's primarily what my work is, in to lead people towards that and to get past any kind of blockages that may be appearing to kind of camouflage our true reality. So yeah, that's what I am doing.
I really enjoy your work, and this is why I'm very excited to be able to sit here and chat with you today live, and record this for others to watch in the future. Is excuse me, because I see that you are actually being very active in what you do, and I'm not putting anyone down or anything like that, but I see a lot of men out there who take about 1,000 selfies a day and post inspirational things, memes every day, but that's about the extent of it. But you are actually out there doing the work, and you are actually, you're really taking action and going forth in what you're doing, and you are a very active part of what is happening today. And I see the divine masculine working through you, and it is very refreshing. So this is why I wanted to do this chat with you today. Excuse me, because I feel it's very important to talk about the divine masculine, and I feel that it is extremely important that people will start to notice that it is on the rise, and it is actually the divine masculine is rising, and it's newer, refreshed, it's better than ever, and it is it's much more powerful than it was, in a beautiful way. And there's so much separation, between the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And it's now we're in the time to where we have to integrate everything within us, and that means divine masculine and divine feminine, which I think are very crucial and vitally important in this entire experience for our soul's expansion and for Gaia and this new paradigm that we're in. That the divine masculine and divine feminine, which are the most powerful energies, need to be integrated within us and around us, and that they are both, you know, like I said before, a force to be reckoned with when they are unified and unified as one consciousness again. They've been separated for far too long, and you know, a lot of the divine masculine has been utilized and used over, you know, the last few decades in such a way that it's been misinterpreted, and it's been it's misguided, and it has misled a lot of people, and it's been used to be, you know, because divine masculine, you know, the masculine energy in itself is more of the protector, the fighter, the warrior, and it's also the logical thinker, and that can be going a bit too far, and then we end up separating more and more because then people rebel against it, or resist it, I should say. And a lot of women use that masculine, you know, when they were liberating themselves, wanting to vote and wanting to, you know, to have more rights in the workplace and such, and or actually just be in the workplace back in the 60s and 70s. And so now it's about really seeing the divine masculine in a beautiful way of knowing its true sense, its true colors. It's actually very powerful, and the divine feminine with that masculine energy is so powerful and so beautiful when they are together, and we unify and integrate that within ourselves. So a lot of women these days, including myself over the years, and I've learned to start integrating that within myself. So I speak from experience, but a lot of women have utilized the divine masculine to protect ourselves, you know, put that wall up, and to be the one that just does everything for ourselves, because we felt, you know, for so long that no one else is going to take care of me, so I will take care of me, and going into that independent mode, and you know, and it's good to get to know either side, but now I utilize that divine masculine and integrate it with my divine feminine, and it is a powerful force. And this is what is bringing Gaia together. It is what's bringing forth this paradigm, and this is what catapults us and quantum leaps us. It cuts out the middleman, which is linear time, and it moves us forward in such a way. And this is what brings forth the magic. This is what brings us back into wholeness, and understanding the importance and the relevance of the divine masculine. It has a very important role. The divine feminine is more about, you know, its creation. It is the spiritual connection, the intuition. It is, it creates life. It is the magic, you know, it manifests. But when the two are together, you know, they're not as powerful or as important at all when they're separated. So when the two are melded together and integrated, it is beyond belief. It's beyond words that, you know, can describe it, of what the two do together when we unify both of them within us. A lot of people are afraid of either one, the divine masculine and the feminine, and a lot of people are afraid of the divine masculine, thinking that it's a bit too controlling, too logical, too, or, you know, abrasive, or what have you. And I think that people are still separating that with, you know, Age of Aquarius. We're in the divine feminine now, and you know, the goddess energy, and it's great. I'm not putting that down. It is fabulous and it is amazing. But let's not forget that this divine masculine is very crucial in our ascension process. And it's very crucial in everything that we do and what is happening with Mother Gaia, Earth, in this new paradigm. So this is what I wanted to talk with you about. That's very important. What's your take on that?
Yeah, no, I completely agree, Rose. You know, it's that, like you just say, it's that yin and yang. It's that whole holistic aspect. You know, it's that balancing aspect, and I think it's important to say as well that, you know, sometimes when people talk about the divine masculine, divine feminine, they may get in their mind gender. You know, they may think of it being gender specific when it's not gender specific at all. It is a quality of energy or qualities of energy, you know, and, you know, that positive energy and negative energy, not negative energy in the sense of bad, just that polarized energy that actually needs each other to balance. And, you know, so, you know, you can see throughout history that we've gone through certain stages where each energy has been more prevalent, a little bit more prevalent than the other. And, you know, when there is, to really bring harmony, those aspects need to not be in the extreme of one or the other. They need to mold together. But, you know, so maybe people are thinking, well, how can I kind of carry these qualities equally? I would say that it's not so much that those qualities are carried equally. It's just to know when to use what type of quality, what type of energy for what situation at the right moment. And I think this is an important point in, you know, what I focus on is going back to our true nature, because that true nature is very malleable. It's very fluid. It's able to adapt. You know, it's almost chameleon-like. It has the ability to adapt, you know, just like water. You know, your water can take the shape of anything that it encounters or is put within, you know. And to me, that's how, if we can best approach these energies in any way, it's to be fluid like that. So as we move in life, allowing ourselves to be fluid and to use whatever is needed, whatever type of quality and energy is needed for that circumstance. So if we, you know, if we have a business and we're running a business, then obviously that requires a degree, or quite a large degree, of the masculine energy in the sense of practicality, being able to use the intellect, you know, having some kind of drive, having some will, you know, and then also, if we can balance that with the more feminine qualities of being more caring and nurturing. So as an example, if we have a bunch of employees, instead of going to the extreme of the masculine and being this kind of tyrant that's bossing people around and telling them to do this, do that, instead we take the approach of nurturing and caring for our employees, you know, and creating that nice kind of atmosphere and displaying that caring nature, you know. So, you know, and this is in all different examples. There's always more of the opposite quality that we can bring into these different types of things that we do in life. You know, that business example is just one of many. So yeah, it's not gender specific. We all have the ability to have these qualities. And it's just allowing us to be aware of what qualities we may be lacking in or not using at the right times, and then how we can start to then integrate that quality at the right time. And the more that we do that, we'll find that those qualities will always be at hand for us whenever we, you know, whenever we need them, whenever we need to express them or use them. And it's, you know, it's like that balancing. It's like the balancing of the right and left side of the brain. You know, the sun and moon channels of the body, the two nervous systems, the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. It's really so that the body is in that holistic place. And like I said, for me, when you come to your true nature of who you are, and you discover that, there is an opening, and this opening allows then a holistic unfolding to take place. There is like almost, what I have found is that there is like an alignment, a kind of calibration process that takes place to start to now move the energies into alignment. Instead of them being to one extreme or the other, moves more into alignment. And, you know, in society, we can see as a whole, as the collective, and this is, I think, why people have kind of made the divine masculine and divine feminine, they may have seen it as being gender specific, is that, yes, the majority of the males in the world do seem to be at the extreme of the masculine energy, although that's starting to change, and it has been changing for a while. And same with the with the females. Obviously, as you just said earlier, that's changed as well, because the way that society has become, women have had to use more of that masculine energy. So there is a balancing happening, but it seems like there is a kind of a scales effect where there's one extreme, and then then there's a bit of a move into the other extreme, and it's about trying to not move as much so that there's that kind of nice center point, you know, where the scales are nice and balanced, you know. So yeah, that's really, it's a very important thing to get that holistic approach. Yeah.
I agree, and yeah, it is not gender specific, but we do have to understand that we must learn to utilize both at the right time. And yes, you're right about that. There's a lot of men out there, that are actually staying home now. They're stay-at-home dads. Well, the the woman goes out and works, or even goes out and goes to Iraq and fights a war, and we've got dads, staying home with the kids, while mom is out, in the military, things like that. It is really, we're really seeing, these things happen to the extremes, but it is nice to see though that that people are utilizing both energies and doing different things that we would have never seen, 50 years ago. And
Absolutely.
so it is an amazing process that we have come through. Now it's about time to make sure that we are utilizing both within ourselves, because it is not gender specific. You're right, because if you look at the third world dimensional issues, political, say, that is more of a masculine. It's more people are rebelling against, Mideastern countries because, they suppress women or what have you. It is about the control and things like that of, every, government around the world, no matter who it is. And so we have to actually, understand that that is the distortion of both energies, and we must see them for what they really are and bring back its true essence, and understand that there are entities or people that are actually distorting it, and in lieu of that, they're trying to, just keep us all separated, and keep us separated and fragmented from within as well. And so it's about understanding that there is more to it than meets the eye. There's a deeper level of it spiritually and within us, and that it is that yin and yang, and that we will be able to do this. We are actually well on the way. It's about allowing yourself to integrate everything within. It's about you understanding when to utilize, qualities of each energy within you. If you are a boss, let's be a little more on, this side where we aren't going to be that control freak or the micromanager, and that we will give a better understanding on, personal one-on-one understanding and connection with the employees. And I have done workshops for businesses to where I've actually did the workshop on that very thing about how the employees and the employers can really connect on a level that there is no one on a pedestal. There's no one that is on demand and command. And they are about working together. A happier employee is going to love coming to work, and they're going to want to do a great job for their employer. And an employer is going to blossom and bloom in his or her business, if they understand that the people working for them are not, just disposable, slave workers, and that the two can work together and be successful together, and that it actually opens doors, and it opens us wide for abundance and success and more opportunities and what everything. It's a creator. It's a manifester of all of our heart's desires. So when we learn to utilize both energies within ourselves and in this whole life experience, we actually open ourselves up, and we actually open this heart chakra to the point that we are going to see and experience everything just like that. It's literally where the magic happens. And when we do this stuff, we don't realize just how much empowerment we gain from it. This is about empowering each other and empowering yourself. And I like to empower people and let them know that they have all these beautiful qualities about themselves, beautiful masculine and feminine within them. And when they learn to utilize both energies and embrace them within themselves, they seem to just open wide. They spread their wings and fly. And this is probably what heals us, makes us whole again. This is what actually helps us grow and expand. A lot of example, when you do it on gender based, when people do that with the two energies, then like example, women who have been abused growing up, and then they hate that masculine energy. They want nothing to do with it, and they hate men, and so there's just this thing where we have to understand that it is not gender based. You're right about that. We misconstrue a lot of that, and it actually is very powerful to when someone is going through a healing process. This is a very powerful tool to have, to be able to integrate both those energies within you and let them both do the work within you. And then when you are out there in the world, when you're a parent, when you are an employer or an employee, when you are, just anything out there, whatever it is that you do in your life, when you're integrating both those energies, it is so beautiful as a parent that, single dads out there, single moms out there, utilize both those energies to raise their child and allow their child to learn the beauty of both energies as well. And then daughters grow up to embrace, not the gender specific, but the masculine energy as a beautiful thing. And that actually helps them in turn, when they get to dating age or become a young adult, then they start dating, they are going to look for someone that has, it's going to help in their development and their mind and their heart and their spirit. This is really important that we are instilling this also in our children as well, and that they have this understanding. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, no, this is very, very true. I think that this, I mean, I think naturally, I think just because of the way that a lot of us have been brought up, we have certain qualities that are stronger than others. And I think that that's often why sometimes people say opposites attract, and sometimes people say, like attracts like. And I think both is true. And I think when it comes to opposites attract, usually it's because there is something that we can learn or integrate from that other person, particular qualities, again, qualities that might be missing within us or that are not being fully embodied or expressed, that another person has, that we can learn from them and maybe take on some of those qualities, And so I think that's very, very true. And like you were saying earlier about the kind of, when a lot of people may have had the wrong impression of the divine masculine because they've seen the extreme version of it, which when it goes to the complete extreme, then this is when we get that overly controlling, that tyrannical type energy, this warring energy, and so it might have given to a lot of people almost like a bad impression of the divine masculine. But as the divine masculine starts to balance up with the feminine, there's very good strong qualities, like we were saying earlier, like that protecting quality, and also the quality of taking responsibility for ourselves and taking responsibility for other people. Something that a lot of people have grown up with, in certain parts of the world especially, is this almost this kind of insulation of just being connected to just certain parts, small family connections, as opposed to seeing everybody as a part of family, seeing the larger sense of family, not just tied by blood, but tied by the fact that we're all family, really. We're all brothers and sisters, really, and taking responsibility for that, and taking responsibility for when we do see things in the world that could be improved upon. If we feel the urge to do that, take that responsibility and put ourselves out there. And that's, again, that masculine quality of taking some action, being proactive, creating things in the world. Like the feminine seems to be more of the coming up with the creative ideas, with the creative thinking, but then without the divine masculine to put that into play, to put that into effect, to make it happen, it may just remain as a dream. It may just remain as an idea, So yeah, it's so important to have those two. It's the complete creation process. Like you said, the feminine births the idea, births certain dreams forward, life forward, and then the divine masculine puts it into action, puts it into play, and more is created from that. So yeah, it's so important, so important.
Yeah, it does have it is a great and beautiful experience to see that our, when our children grow, and again, it's not gender based, and it has nothing to do with sexual orientation. It just makes their children better mates.
Yeah.
And when they become parents, whether they have their own children or adopt them, it makes them better parents as well. And it makes us better people, better beings, period. And I have a son, and to see him change and evolve, over the years, as I have awakened over the years, and then I've utilized that with him when I talk with him and we have our deep discussions. I see how it how when he had his girlfriends, that the differences between him and them, and now he's with one that he's a completely different person now. He's taken, you know, a different outlook and a different perspective of himself, as well as young women out there. And so I'm really liking what I'm seeing. He has really come into his own, and he's become a better mate in the process. You know, we learn from each other, and so this is a beautiful thing that we can see in each other, as well as in our own children and in the people that we work with. When, you know, and it doesn't have to be, you know, relationship specific either. It is with light workers or people in general, you know, employers, employees, whatever, what have you, friends, family, the dynamics of all of us working together and having this relationship of friendships and coworkers and such. It is a beautiful thing to see when we raise consciousness together on a whole new level, and we actually make this impact. We anchor our light, and we actually see results faster when people see that we are paying it forward by the force of beautiful light that we put out there. When we bring forth nothing but from the heart, from our soul, that true essence of who we are.
And the heart is that balancing point, isn't it? You know, it's
Yes.
that is the balancing point of those energies, the higher, the lower, and the right and the left. You know, and you know, one thing that I think is extremely important and powerful is, you know, is meditation, because meditation really does synchronize the brain. It does synchronize the body. And I think sometimes maybe people can think that meditation is more of a feminine thing, but actually, to me, there are studies that have been done on this, is that meditation literally shows that the brain starts to work in a holistic way. You know, it depends on what meditation's being done, because there are many different types of meditation. There are 3 different types of meditation that I generally talk about, and one of them, which I call pure meditation. And the pure meditation is the ability to be a watcher, a perceiver of thoughts taking place, of emotions, of the body, of different experiences. You become like a watcher, and this watcher, because it is connecting with who we really are, which is actually beyond the body and mind, it naturally has this holistic effect that takes place, where then the body and mind starts to balance itself out and become more synchronized. And again, as studies have shown, the brain starts to all communicate to each other. All parts of the brain communicate. And in today's society, so many of us, just the way society is structured, we're very heavily in the kind of more left brain qualities of this heavy intellect and logical thinking. And so something like meditation will help just to draw our attention back from that, and to really create that wholeness, so that the creative comes in and well of the feminine, and there is this, you know, with the corpus callosum of the brain, there is this transferring of information where the whole brain is working together. You know, it's a microcosm of the macrocosm, you know, so more people that can come to that place within them will see more of that outside in the world as well. We'll see more communication and more working together, you know. So for me, meditation is extremely important. And also, one thing that, from my own experience, that I found very powerful, which we were talking about before, is when we first spoke, is martial arts. You know, martial arts, the true side of martial arts, the discipline side and the spiritual side of martial arts as well, really does, that is like another type of system. It's almost like yoga in a sense, that if it is done in the right way, if it is done properly, if it is done with attention and care, and it is turned into like an inner journey, an inner exploration, that can really create those qualities, because you have the masculine qualities of the physicality of it, and the discipline, and the intelligence of the skill and the different moves, and the ability to protect and defend oneself or defend other people if needs be. But then at the other side of it, you have the more spiritual side, the more introspective side, and the more feminine side, where if you turn it into an internal process where you are seeing how you can become the best you possible, you know, making that martial arts not just about the external, making it about the internal. How can you become the best you possible? How can you overcome your own fears and conquer your own fears and things like this? And to be honest, really, when we take that approach, we can make anything in life, any kind of pursuit, we can make it our own type of sadhana or spiritual practice, where it does take us within to overcome and to balance and integrate these energies within us as well. So, you know, again, the same with business as well. So it's all there for
that. Yeah. So, martial arts, talk more about that. How did you get into the martial arts, and what has it, you know, shown you? Because I know a lot of people actually who are thinking about getting into martial arts, so I think that they would love to hear this. What has it shown you? What has it developed within you?
Yeah, I mean, you know, from a young age, I think I was taken from about 4 or 5 years old, and I kind of worked my way up through martial art called Taekwondo, and also kickboxing as well. And you know, it does give a confidence. It can give a confidence. You know, it can give a confidence. It can give a discipline. It can give a focus. And what I learned as I got older is that it is very much an internal process as well, not just an outside physical thing. You know, that if you have insecurities, if you have certain fears, then it can allow you to overcome those fears, overcome those insecurities, to push through certain barriers. You know, you find out a lot about yourself when you're under pressure, you could say. You know, again, whatever it may be, but as this is the case in martial arts, when you're under that pressure of competing maybe against somebody else, it's very easy to try and externalize it. You know, that it's, and the same in today's world, we can often externalize things, you know, thinking that it's all about the outside, and the outside determines how I am. But really, it's an inward process. It's an inward journey. It's, again, how can I become the best me possible? How can I turn everything into this inward process of becoming the best me? And in the process of doing that, becoming the best me, naturally, I have more to give to the world. Naturally, we all have more than to give to the world, because the better we become, the better we are around people, the better we are to people, the better quality of what we do in the world is increased, you know. So for me, martial arts was a fantastic inward process as well. Now, in a lot of places, martial arts has become watered down, like a lot of things become watered down, where when it was transferred from the East to the West, sometimes the West tends to focus just on the physical and they forget about the internal, they forget about the spiritual. Not everywhere, of course. Same actually with, you know, yoga, is that, you know, a lot of people don't realize that yoga is not just the stretching and the bending. And in fact, that's one tiny aspect of yoga. That's the very beginning stages of yoga, is to put yourself, the idea behind it through like hatha yoga of the different asanas, different postures, is to basically prepare your body for meditation, for the deeper stuff, you know, for the internal, for the spiritual and the mental. because people's minds are so busy and their bodies are usually so restless that they need something like a posture to be able to still the body and therefore still the mind, you know. But of course, that was imported from the East. And again, the West tended to focus upon yoga, and they've even turned it into a lot of places into this kind of like an exercise, which is fine because it still can be very good health wise, but it's lost its, in some places, it's lost the deeper roots of what it really is, you know. And the many different aspects of yoga, you know, so many, karma yoga and Kriya yoga and so many others. So yeah, so martial arts a lot has become a bit like that, that it's become imported, and in some places it's lost that deeper connection, you know, it being an internal spiritual process, you know.
So in essence, would you say that it actually has you delve into a little bit of shadow work because you are actually challenging yourself and you're actually going within and doing something in deeper work, which is a lot like what shadow work does?
Absolutely.
Would it be along the same lines? Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, only if we turn it into that. You know, like, you know, there's, again, people can go through a lot of different things, you know, again, anything could be, you know, you're training, you're a bodybuilder or you're a power lifter, you know, this is like very masculine examples here, but anything like that could be turned into an inward process, but if you're not conscious of making it an inward process, then it won't become an inward process. It'll just become you going through the motions physically, you know, instead of internalizing it. We have to internalize it if we really want to expand and grow and become the best we can be. And so, yeah, martial arts is definitely an avenue for that, but it has to be initiated by the person that's doing it. They have to really turn it into an inward process. Otherwise, they're just going through the physical steps and motions of it. But yeah, it can make you confront a lot of fears. So yeah, like you said, shadow work, it can make you work through a lot of fears, a lot of insecurities. So yeah, it is very, very powerful for that. And especially if you're competing on a bigger stage, as I did as well myself, is that, you know, you can face a lot of there can be a lot of fears that come up in terms of what will other people think? How will I be perceived by other people? What if I lose? You know, and especially in something like combat sport for a man, because a man, again, that overly extreme masculine quality is, it very much prides itself in being, doesn't want to think that it can be beat. You know, it wants to be in full control, and that's, again, that's that extreme masculine energy. Yeah.
I believe that it also it your essence is very noticeable, you know, when people are around you, especially people who do martial arts on that deeper level like you're talking about. It is they just kind of, when you're around people like that, and I know a couple people like that. I know several people who do martial arts. I know some martial arts teachers, but there's a difference, and I notice that, you know, you feel their energy, and you know the ones that are just doing it because they're very athletic or what have you, and it's just part of their regime, or they do competitions and things like that. But then I see some men and women who have literally taken it onto that deeper level, and the energy that they present, that you feel around them, is completely different. It's very noticeable. You really feel the balance in the ones who have gone into it on that deeper level. And then the other ones, you know, that just do it for sport or do it for fitness reasons. It's not the same thing.
Yeah.
And you feel the connection with the
Yeah.
ones that go in, and you feel their balance. It's on their face. You can see it in, you know, in their face. And Even you feel the frequency that they give off, and you hear it in their voice and the way they speak, and by watching them, the way they go about things and do things, and the way they handle things when things get really stressful. They are more balanced and they're just more centered than everyone else. Some people will go into a panic or get outraged and get very dramatic, and I've seen these people just really just flow through it, and it's like, no big deal, we got this, you know. And their energy would be calming for the rest of the people around them, and instantaneously, you know, whatever the issues are were resolved in no time flat, you know, where these other people who were doing it for competition reasons or fitness reasons would go into that divine masculine, well, go into the masculine, you know, of let's, you know, throw a fit and let's just get angry and, you know, and let's fight this thing. And there's a huge difference. So you can hear it in the voice if people are very sensitive to frequency. I listen to people's frequency when they're talking to me, and when I hear their tone of voice when we're just having conversation, having lunch or what have you, it is very, very calming, very soothing. It's very balanced and centered, and they're in alignment with everything. It aligns you because you're sending out the signal to align yourself with that like energy. And so there is quite the difference when what you, because I understand what you're saying, that is very, very true. It is a very it goes a lot deeper than just, you know, getting into shape or staying in shape or being athletic and competing and things like that. There is a huge difference in that. So I do appreciate you talking about that there is a difference between doing martial arts just to do it and then doing it because it is part of your spiritual work that you do for yourself, your meditation, your sacred space that you create for yourself.
I think that's very important. What we were just touching on there and what we just said is, again, with everything, is a lot of people come into different pursuits in life, different, whatever it is that they're doing, whether it's business, whether it's a particular career or martial arts or whatever it is. A lot of people come into those things and they're making it about the external. They may not even be aware of it, but I know this myself many years ago, is that, you know, and that was something that I had to work out, is that I was often doing things for the reason of trying to impress other people. So I was externalizing it. You know, I was externalizing it. It was about trying to impress other people, looking good in front of other people. And that's the ego, that's the masculine extremity. You know, that's when it's gone to the extreme, and it's that extreme masculine is just completely obsessed and focused on the outside. Instead of seeing, what is it about me? How am I dealing with this situation? Again, this goes for anything in life. When something happens in life, somebody says something to us, somebody does something, or breaks a deal or a contract, or just some kind of family issue or whatever it is, or somebody, you know, wrongs us in a sense. What we often do is we externalize it, or the extreme masculine may externalize it. You know, and they're making the issue, they're trying to solve the issue on the external, instead of turning their attention within and saying, well, what is this actually showing me? If I'm feeling this way about this situation, what does that say about what I've got going on inside of me? What maybe needs to be rectified? What maybe needs to be dealt with within? And so that's what I mean as well when I talk about making things an internal process. Instead of getting mad with the outside and always trying to change the outside, why don't we look within and change what it is within that is actually resisting those things? You know, it's almost like things show up in our life to show us what is going on within. What are we resisting within? What is it that needs to be cleared within? and of course there are obviously things that must be dealt with in a physical sense as well, and that's that balance. That is that balance of the masculine and the feminine, the in and the out. But when we go to that masculine extreme, which a lot of people have that particular quality of in today's societies, we often focus too much on the outside. It's all about the outside as opposed to what is taking place within. So
That I love that. I really do. It is something that people don't realize is what they do with such techniques that they can utilize in their life to help their spiritual growth and their expansion. People on the ego does play in and does that external masculine extreme, and it's the external masculine can make us very unaligned, imbalanced. So can the extreme of the feminine as well, and I've seen a lot of women who were the extreme and them in the extreme masculine. I've seen I know when she's not this way anymore, I should say, but she used to be a bodybuilder, and but she has now developed. She's and it was more that masculine energy is about strength, the power, and independence. And I'm a strong woman. Hear me roar. So I was amazed, to see the pictures of her. I never imagined, because I met her after she stopped doing that years ago, and to see the pictures of her on stage, these massive arms and legs, and I was like, wow. But during that time though, it was about and she's not that way anymore though. She's learned to utilize the masculine in its true sense and its true essence now, and now she has embraced her more feminine, divine feminine, not the external feminine. And she's integrated both of those very beautifully. And she is a light worker. She does energy work like I do. She's in, she just lives a couple hours from me. And we will actually be doing some work here pretty soon, a video, and then we're going to do a workshop in Colorado together, and this next year. But yes, I think she has a great story to tell there as well. I think she would be perfect to actually bring that forward.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I think it's worth mentioning as well, like we're saying about, as you were rightly saying, is that obviously at the same time, if we go to the extreme of the divine feminine, then that's obviously out of balance as well, and that can cause a lot of problems as well. And I think that one of the qualities of that extreme divine feminine, when we're too far in that side, is that there can be an extreme passivity and an extreme almost a victimization as well. There can be a victimization, feeling that we have no power, we have no control, we're completely at the whim of everything, and there's nothing we can do. Life is just happening to us. Why is God punishing me, so to speak? Why is life punishing me? Nobody likes me, all this kind of stuff. And that can swing over. That is the extreme of that divine feminine and out of balance. And of course, there are people that have found themselves in that place as well. And, so there definitely needs to be, that needs to be aware of, and it needs to be leveled up, and put into balance, just as the divine masculine does as well, or the extremity of the divine masculine.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know that when we first had our discussion last week, that I remember I told you that, the extremes in my own family dynamics, my father's side of the family, it's different, but my mother's side of the family, the women dominate because they go to both extremes. They are victimized all the time, and they go into this, mode of, I was raised this way. I didn't have a lot of, terrible experiences, in relationships or anything. I was just raised to believe this, that men are no good. You can't trust them. They're just good for procreation, and that's about it, and you can never trust them, and you can't rely on them. You got to take care of yourself and do things for yourself. That's the only way you'll make it in this world. And that, and I was taught to, believe I was always going to be a victim of, men, or a victim of circumstances of some sort. When I had to come out of that, I had to unlearn and uncondition all of that. And that it was a process. It took a few years. And and now I know that I'm not a victim. I choose and create my reality and all my experiences, and they all happen in divine order. And they're part of this beautiful process of this life path that I have for my soul's expansion. And so now, my perspective is completely changed. So now I'm out there, changing that in my world, but being the example of it as well, to show others that we can unlearn and uncondition from that old belief system, and that we can not, I don't like the words take control, but we can be the sole creator of our reality, and that everything is for a beautiful reason. I was raised by this woman because she was to teach me my own empowerment of how I can overcome what she's taught me, and that just because it runs in my family, on her side of the family, just because all the women in my family are like this and have taught, all of their daughters the same thing, doesn't mean that I have to continue that pattern. And it is not a generational thing. It is not, in my DNA. I'm changing my DNA as we speak. So this is about people understanding that you're not bound to your DNA, your human DNA, your lineage, your family line, or what have you. You're not bound to it at all. You are able to come out of that and become who you truly are, and remember who you truly are. And that, our earthly family lines or DNA or what have you has nothing to do with your soul's expansion. That this is how powerful we are when we integrate the divine and masculine and feminine both within us, that we can overcome anything, and that we come in and speak in our truth. We stand in our truth. We become our truth, and who we really are as a soul, as a star being, here on earth to do something completely different. This is breaking those patterns. And so that's why I really appreciate, what's happening now with, people like you, coming forth and showing, this world, this universe, that we are not bound by any chains. We are not bound by there's no stigmata on us, whether it be divine feminine or masculine. And it doesn't matter what part of the world we are born in and how we were raised. This is not what we came here to do. So
that's something that I talk a lot about, is like you were saying about the deconditioning, and I feel that's why it's so important to realize that while we are having this beautiful experience of the body and mind and all these experiences, we are not ultimately the body and mind. We are beyond it. And I think that that's important, because if we think we are something, it's so much more difficult to change it. Like you were saying, if we believe that we are our genetics, if we believe that we are our the content of everything in our mind, if we believe that we are bound by these particular types of limitations through these limiting beliefs, it's so much more difficult to change it. And then our life becomes almost predetermined, because we are being led by these self-fulfilling prophecies of beliefs that we have about ourselves and about the world and about other people. And that is always changeable. Like you say, it's always malleable. Like you were saying, our genetics is constantly changing. We know that through epigenetics. We know through the field of neuroplasticity, something I've talked about for a long time, is that the brain is constantly changing. The brain's constantly rewiring itself. So while the brain may have been stuck in certain patterns of thinking, in certain belief systems, that is changeable. You know, while the brain may have been wired up in a particular way, like to the amygdala, where it's like the fear center, that is changeable. It's all changeable. But the first step is to realize that what we essentially are is beyond all of that. We are so much more than just a body and mind and those limited kinds of identity. And those limited kinds of identity are fine as a playing out of existence, as a playing out of experience. But it's not essentially who we are. And yeah, so I think that's fantastic. I think that's what as soon as we realize that things are changeable, then we're free and we can start to work on that. And as you were saying as well, like with the divine masculine and feminine qualities, sometimes when we're brought up, like you were saying in your own situation, your own experience, and I've seen this with other people, I've seen it as an example with certain females that have grown up without a father figure, without that masculine energy. What can happen, and it's a choice, but of course we do things when we're unaware a lot of the time, and that's what leads us on that road. But that oftentimes then that girl that turns into a woman without the father figure will go searching for that masculine energy either in somebody else, or they will overcompensate for it within themselves, like you were talking about. And if we can recognize that and we can show that, like you were saying, teach that to our children and show that as well, then we can avoid maybe a lot of this kind of conditioning and this kind of extremity of the energies from taking place as much. And it can then be a much smoother process for people to become more integrated.
Absolutely. I agree with that. We are overcoming a lot, and this is really this is groundbreaking, I think, on every level. And when my father and I are very, very close, and he wasn't in the picture. He couldn't be there. They divorced when I was very, very young, and but I didn't allow that. I made the choice. We have a choice. I didn't allow that to affect my development when I started awakening and started to unlearn and uncondition all that I had been taught. I didn't allow that my father, wasn't able to be there for me. I mean, there was still, the dynamics of, he could have done more, what have you. But if I would have allowed that to be part of my conditioning, and if I would have allowed that to continue on to change my heart in such a way that, I could have said, yeah, you're right, Mom, men are just worthless, or you can't count on them for anything because Dad was never there for me. Look at him, I mean, what kind of a person would I be today? And, what kind of example would I make for my own son? And it is very crucial that we are passing everything on. We are paying it forward, whether it is a positive thing or not. We are still sharing that essence of us and passing it on to others. And so what I do highly affects people in more ways than I can imagine. So I have this responsibility for myself, and I have this choice that I have to make every day of whether or not I'm going to fall prey, so to speak, if I'm going to fall prey to these old belief systems and these old conditionings, and and take what I have experienced in my life and what I have learned from them and see from a higher perspective of how the divine feminine and masculine, excuse me, have worked and have developed within me, and they made me the person that I am in this very moment. But at the same time, you and I are not the same person that we were when we woke up this morning. We are ever evolving. So I will continue to evolve and expand from this moment to the next moment and on. And so we have to give ourselves room. We have to give ourselves that self-love. And that's probably something that the extreme masculine that people generally more so embrace will not accept is that self-love. It's a vulnerability and it's a self-judgment that we put on ourselves. And so to understand that we are to love ourselves exactly who we are and what we are, you know, that divine masculine is about self-love as well, don't you think?
Absolutely, yeah. Again, yeah. When we have them balancing qualities, it's you know, self-love is so important. Again, it's that heart center, you know, that center point, that heart center, that self-love. And I found when we do love ourselves, and not in an ego sense, you know, sometimes it's been thrown about, you know, that kind of, you got to love yourself, but it's more from an ego perspective, you know, whereas like you said, really that love, that self-love is that vulnerability. It's really self-acceptance. It's acceptance of who you are, and to not punish yourself for certain qualities. Not that you should then continue with certain qualities if they're damaging, but you don't make yourself feel guilty over it, but you adjust, you readjust, you again rebalance, reintegrate things so that you come to that more balanced point. And you know, when you have that self-love, you naturally, automatically, from your own natural state, you have a love for life, you know, and you have a love for those things that are in life. You don't have to try to love things or love people. It just becomes your natural expression because you accept yourself, and therefore you accept life, and you see yourself, you see the essence that's in you, you see that in other people. You know, namaste in Lakesh, you know, you see yourself as a, you know, others as another you, as a, that essence that you are, you know. So yeah, it's very, self-love is really what it's all about, you know, really is. It's that
And in
balance.
essence, yeah, in essence, then you're aligning yourself with your experiences all around you. You're aligning yourself with people that are going to reflect what you are emanating on the inside, that the vibration that you're holding and the frequency. And so it's very, very important that we do understand, you know, the importance of accepting ourselves and allowing ourselves to be just who we are, and allowing ourselves to have these experiences, and knowing that vulnerability is actually a strength and not a weakness. A lot of people fear it. There's a lot of fear of the masculine. There's a lot of fear of the feminine, and they might see them in the fearful ways. So when we stop, you know, going to those extremes, going within and knowing that this is part of our divine self, that we will be able to align ourselves with more of our heart's desires, and we will align ourselves with more beautiful experiences, and we will actually reconnect with ourselves on a different level than ever before. So I really, really appreciate, you know, you saying that, and you worded it a lot better than I did because I fumble in my words. So, but with that, you know, I mean, it is an awesome thing. I really love, you know, it's not an ego thing either. It's not an egotistical thing, or, you know, we are gonna, you know, love ourselves to the point of, you know, 1,000 selfies a day, you know, and surfing out, you know.
Yeah.
I don't do that. I might have to update my picture every 6 months, but that's about as the extent of my selfies. But it is about you just knowing who you are, that you are a beautiful being, and that we are here for a beautiful reason. And it doesn't mean that we're having to go out there and do something spectacular and save the world. And we do that just by being and living in our own essence.
Yeah, we're all on our own path, and the minute the second that we accept the path that we're on, we accept who we are, and we align ourselves with life in this moment, and then, you know, everything then goes more smoothly. You know, it's only when we're resisting things, struggling against things, that things don't run smoothly, you know, and we bump into people, so to speak. And you know, I've always found that as well, is that, you know, oftentimes the things that, this is why self-love and self-acceptance is so powerful, is because, and this is a deep one for people to think about, but often the things that we don't like in other people are actually things within us. And we, you know, a lot of people don't like to admit that, but it is true, because we almost have an overlay within us where if we see another person a certain way, it's usually what is going on inside us. It's going on inside of us. And so the more that we come to that self-love and self-acceptance of those particular aspects, we kind of help to dissolve those aspects, and they kind of get reintegrated into who we are. And then all of a sudden we don't see those negative qualities in other people anymore. We can still point things out, but we don't make anything personal, and we don't make it personal against them or personal to us. We just see those aspects, and we know that they can be corrected, but we're not holding any kind of personal judgment against anybody. Because whatever we judge in another, we're really judging ourselves. That's it, you know.
That's absolutely true. It is what we deem our shadow side, the part of us that we kind of, you know, try to ignore, and we will go to an extreme, any extreme, to hide that part of ourselves, even from ourselves, let alone from others around us. And then what happens is we align ourselves with people that have those same aspects, you know, and we don't realize that that's exactly what it is. And you know, I've seen this a lot, and I've joked and teased some people about it a lot too, especially in my own family. But it's like, you know, the reason why you can't stand them so much is because you're so much alike. And you know, we don't realize that, you know, if you actually pay more attention to why you don't like someone, or you don't like something about someone, you got to go within. You actually have to look in the mirror and see that it's because it's something that's already within you too. And that is so true. That is so very true. So you have to put yourself in check whenever you get, you know, a little bit irritated or annoyed by anyone out there for anything. And but then you learn to appreciate a lot of things too. And that, you know, what we deem as our shadow side, you know, we sometimes it's the masculine or feminine. Again, going right back to that, it is, we deem it our shadow side, we deem it our dark side, and this is not an enemy. This is our teacher, and this is our true essence. And it's a beautiful thing when you actually go within and you do the work, and you take a nice long look at yourself, being in the acceptance of yourself, and actually observing where that came from within you, and then understanding how what its, you know, purpose is for your expansion.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. It's oftentimes I talk about the mind and going beyond the mind, and sometimes people interpret that as speaking negatively of the mind, but it's not to speak negatively of the mind. It's simply putting things in the right perspective. You know, there is a body and a mind, and we're having this experience, but it's the true self when we connect to that true self, then everything's put into that right kind of alignment, that right kind of perspective. And like you were saying there about these particular aspects, once you understand these aspects and you become aware of them, they kind of can integrate in, and in that, through that integration, more light is shined upon them, and they move into that that purity. If you have an angry tendency all of the time, then don't make a problem of it, but simply be aware of it, shine that light upon it, understand why that anger keeps coming up. And by understanding it, by putting the light of your awareness on it, it will dissolve it in some way. It will integrate it so that you are not constantly acting out that angry behavior all of the time. So it's just about becoming as aligned as you can be, you know, and again, that comes back to that self-love and that acceptance, you know, not struggling. We're out of alignment only when we're struggling, only when we're resisting. As soon as we stop struggling, stop resisting, we surrender, and we allow things to come through and to be, and we can still take action, we can still do things, but we're doing it from that aligned place. We're not resisting anything. Anything that comes up, anything that comes our way, any kind of challenge or a difficulty with a person, like you say, instead of turning it onto them, we're looking, okay, this is showing me something in here. Why am I reacting like that, in that negative way, you could say? Okay, there's something that needs to be looked at. We can be aware of it. We can dissolve it, and then transmute it, and then things are integrated again, you know. So that's what I was saying before when we were talking earlier about making the external this internal process, you know. So, and then then everything serves to be actually a catalyst for spiritual growth, or for more spiritual understanding, and for this balancing and integration that we began the conversation with. So
Absolutely,
it all comes back round.
It does. Everything is tied, everything is connected. And it's just like mind, body, and spirit. Everything is connected. If one is imbalanced or unhealthy or unaligned, the rest of them are too. And this is how we understand that we are not only is everything connected within us, mind, body, and spirit, but we are also connected, you know, with each other. So you can walk into a room and you can change the energy in the room just like that. And you can change the energy or the frequency of another person by talking to them. You can shut them down, or you can activate them. You can you know, bring them into alignment by just speaking to them according to your own frequency. And this is the, you know, just bringing it back to what we were talking about earlier about how we're raising our children, or how we are as an employer and employee. You know, any given, you know, type of day we're having, it's very effective. People don't even need to speak. You can feel it around them, you know, when someone's not having a good day, because then you're like, oh, you know, I can feel the tension, you know, or boy, I don't think I want to go near them today. Something's wrong. They're really angry about something. Or you instill fear, or you instill, you know, doubt and insecurity and things like that. And people with just your essence alone. And that's how powerful we are. That's how powerful the energies are within us. And if we are not always aware of where we are at and what we're aligning ourselves with, this is something that's going to be very crucial for us every day. It's then we can't question why we felt like we were just hit by a Mack truck. We didn't see that coming. Well, you should have, in retrospect. You know, we should have seen that we were aligning ourselves with all of our experiences. And so this is how powerful we are. This is about the integration of that divine masculine and feminine within us, and understanding and knowing. I've been trying to wean myself off of the word belief, and just say you just start knowing, and knowing who you are, knowing what this is about. Everything begins to make sense naturally and falls in divine, beautiful order when you go into the knowing, and that you integrate and embrace and accept everything about yourself and the beautiful aspects of yourself, the divine feminine and masculine. And so with that said, Chris, I would, I know it's late over there where you're at. It's morning here, so I don't want to keep you any longer. I just so appreciate you taking time out to do this with me, and I do feel like we should do another one. I do believe we're going to do something here eventually with our friend Nico. You've done some work with him too, and I'll be doing a video with Nico next week, and so I think the three of us will do one after that. But for right now, though, I would like you to give any last words you would like to say to anyone that before we close, and also again bring forth, say your links and everything, your website where people can reach you, and then I will have your links and everything at the bottom of the video for all those viewers that would like to reach out to Chris and have a session with him or what have you. So Chris, would you please?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Rose. Yeah, I appreciate you inviting me on, and I've really enjoyed this conversation. I think it's been very powerful, and that's what I would like to say to everybody, to leave people with, is that you are powerful. Like you've said it yourself, it's we all have such a powerful presence, and the more integrated we are, the more balanced we are, the more in touch we are with ourselves and aligned, that mind, body, and spirit together. The more power we have, the more influence we have, and the ability to affect people and our world in a more positive way. So that's how powerful we all are. You can reach me through my YouTube channel, which is Silent Truth YouTube. Facebook page is also Silent Truth, and the website is silenttruth.co.uk. And that's where I have updates on events, retreats, and you can get a personal session with me there, the Inner Awakening and Meditation mentorships, and anything else, any other places, Twitter, Silent Truth on Twitter as well. Yeah, so that's where you can reach me.
Great, thank you again, Chris. And I want to tell everybody, please, if you resonate with everything that Chris has said today, he's doing amazing work, and I wouldn't be doing this event with him right now or any future events if I didn't believe in him and what he's doing, if I didn't feel like he's actually making an impact. So feel free to contact him at any time, and all my information's in here. Y'all know what I do, and Chris and I will be doing something again soon. I can feel it. So again, everyone, thank you for watching, and be sure to share love and know who you are, love yourself, and know that you are amazing, beautiful beings out there, and that we absolutely love you. That's why we're here doing this today. It's all for you. Thank you so much again for joining us. Namaste.
And like I should